Amara thought about her laptop, about the hours spent doing extra chores, about the coins collected and dollars tucked away. "It's okay," she said, even as a small voice inside whispered that it wasn't. "You need your heart medicine now. My thing can wait. What's your name?" the old man asked. "Amara. Amara Johnson." "I'm Thomas Wilson," he said, extending a slightly trembling hand which Amara shook politely. "Are your parents here with you?" "I live with my grandmother," Amara explained. "She sent me to pick up her medicine. She works today." A woman behind them in line cleared her throat pointedly. The pharmacist seemed to remember where they were and turned businesslike again. "Do you want to proceed with the payment?" she asked Mr. Wilson. He hesitated, looking at Amara with troubled eyes. "I can't take your savings, young lady." "It wouldn't be right." "Please," Amara said. "It's going to rain all day and you said your home is far. What if something happens to your heart because you don't have your medicine?" The pharmacy had grown quiet again. Other customers watching the exchange with varying expressions of curiosity, impatience, and in some faces, a soft sort of wonder. Mr. Wilson's shoulders sagged slightly. "You're a remarkable young person, Amara Johnson," he said finally. "If you're certain, then I accept your help, but only with the promise that I'll find a way to repay your kindness." Amara smiled, relieved. She hadn't realized until that moment how worried she'd been about this stranger. And his heart medicine. "That's okay. You don't have to pay me back." The pharmacist counted out $76 from Amara's savings and handed her back $11 in change. "That's a beautiful thing you did," she said quietly as she passed Amara the small paper bag with Nana's medication. Mr. Wilson received his prescription with hands that seemed steadier now. He looked at Amara with such gratitude that she felt both embarrassed and proud. "May I wait with you until your grandmother arrives?" he asked. "Oh, she's not coming. I'm walking home by myself," Amara explained, tucking the remaining $11 into her backpack. It felt so light now. Mr. Wilson frowned, looking out at the rain that continued to pour. "In this weather? Do you live far?" 8 blocks, Amara said with a shrug. "I have my raincoat." "Well then, perhaps we can help each other," Mr. Wilson suggested. "I have my umbrella. And if you don't mind walking a bit slowly with an old man, we could share it for part of your journey home." The walk with Mr. Wilson was nothing like Amara had expected when she left home that morning. They moved slowly through the rain-soaked streets, sharing his large black umbrella. Mr. Wilson asked her about school, and Amara found herself talking about Ms. Chen's science class and the ecosystem project she hoped to do on the laptop she was saving for. "So that's what the money was for," Mr. Wilson said, his voice soft with understanding. "A computer for your schoolwork." Amara nodded, trying to ignore the hollow feeling in her stomach. "It's okay, though. I can keep saving. Maybe by winter break I'll have enough again." "What grade are you in, Amara?" "7th. But next year I have to choose which high school to apply to. Nana wants me to try for Westridge Academy because they have special science programs, but it's really hard to get in." Mr. Wilson's eyes lit up. "Westridge? I know it well." Something in his tone made Amara look up, but he didn't elaborate. They reached the corner of Pine and 4th Street, where Amara would turn to go home. "I live down that way," she said, pointing east. Mr. Wilson nodded. "And I'm west from here." He hesitated, then reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook. With careful handwriting, he wrote something on a page, tore it out, and handed it to Amara. "This is my name and telephone number. Would you share it with your grandmother? I'd like to thank her for raising such an extraordinary young lady." Amara tucked the paper carefully into her pocket, oddly touched by his formal manner. "Okay, I will. I hope your heart feels better with the medicine." "It already does," he said with a warm smile. "Sometimes, Amara, medicine isn't the only thing that heals people. Sometimes it's kindness from unexpected places." They parted ways at the corner, Mr. Wilson insisting she take his umbrella for the remainder of her walk. "You can return it another day," he said when she protested. Amara watched him walk away, a tall figure with stooped shoulders moving carefully through the rain. She wondered about his life, his home, and whether he had grandchildren her age. Turning toward home, she opened the umbrella against the steady downpour and tried not to think about her empty savings box. The apartment was still empty when Amara returned. She hung the borrowed umbrella in the bathtub to dry and changed out of her damp clothes. Nana wouldn't be home until after 5, which left several hours to herself. Usually, Saturday afternoons were for dreaming about her laptop and researching the best educational programs she could download once she got it. Now that dream seemed distant again. Amara curled up on their worn couch with her science textbook, but the words blurred before her eyes. Had she been foolish? Nana always said to be careful with strangers, and here she'd given almost all her savings to someone she didn't know. What if Mr. Wilson had been lying? What if he didn't really need heart medicine? But she'd seen his hands shake. She'd heard the worry in his voice, and the pharmacist had known him by name. No, her heart told her she'd done the right thing. Still, her empty savings weighed on her. Around 4:30, Amara started dinner, one of her Saturday chores. She chopped onions and peppers for the rice and beans, seasoning them the way Nana had taught her. Cooking always settled her mind, the familiar motions and smells bringing comfort. She was setting the table when she heard Nana's key in the lock. Her grandmother entered, looking tired but smiling when she saw Amara. "Something smells good in here," Nana said, hanging up her coat. "Did you get my medicine?" Amara nodded, bringing the small pharmacy bag to her grandmother. She hesitated, uncertain how to explain what had happened to her savings. Nana must have seen something in her face. "What's wrong, baby girl? Did something happen today?" They sat at the kitchen table, dinner momentarily forgotten, as Amara recounted her encounter with Mr. Wilson. She pulled out his note with shaking fingers, suddenly afraid Nana would be upset with her impulsive decision. "I know I should have saved my money for the laptop," she finished, her voice small. "But he needed his heart medicine and he looked so worried, and I just thought—" To Amara's surprise, Nana's eyes had filled with tears. She reached across the table and took Amara's hands in hers. "You listen to me," Nana said, her voice thick with emotion. "What you did today makes me prouder than any laptop or school project ever could. You saw someone in need and you helped even though it cost you something precious. You're not mad?" Nana shook her head, wiping a tear from her cheek. "Mad? Child, you showed the kind of heart that can't be taught. That comes from somewhere deep inside." She squeezed Amara's hands. "Your mama had that same heart, always thinking of others before herself." The mention of her mother, something rare in their household, made Amara's own eyes water. Her mother had died when Amara was just 4, leaving only faded photographs and Nana's occasional stories as memories. "The laptop will come," Nana continued. "We'll figure something out. But what you did today, that's the kind of thing that matters most in this world." They ate dinner together, the weight on Amara's heart lighter now. As they washed dishes side by side, Nana studied Mr. Wilson's note. "Thomas Wilson," she read aloud. "The address he wrote here isn't far from Westridge Academy. Tomorrow after church, maybe we should pay him a visit, return his umbrella." Amara looked up in surprise. "Really? You want to go see him?" Nana nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. "I'd like to meet the man my granddaughter helped, and thank him for seeing what I've known all along, that I'm raising a young woman with a beautiful heart." Later that night, as Amara placed her nearly empty savings box back under her bed, she didn't feel the regret she'd expected. Instead, a curious sense of anticipation had taken its place, as if she stood on the edge of something important. Tomorrow they would visit Mr. Wilson, and somehow that seemed to matter more than any laptop ever could. Sunday morning arrived with sunshine that made the previous day's rain seem like a distant memory. Amara woke earlier than usual, a mixture of nervousness and excitement fluttering in her stomach. After church, they would visit Mr. Wilson. Nana had pressed her best dress for the occasion, a deep purple one with small white flowers that she saved for special Sundays. Amara wore her navy blue dress with the white collar, the one that had once been too big but now fit just right. "You look beautiful, baby girl," Nana said as they walked the 3 blocks to Bethel AME Church. "Got your mind on meeting this Mr. Wilson?" Amara nodded, clutching the now-due Rye umbrella. "Do you think he'll remember me?" Nana smiled. "Some people you don't forget, even if you only meet them once. I think you might be that kind of person, Amara." Church was as it always was. Reverend Thompson's powerful voice filling the small building, the choir swaying in their robes, and Mrs. Daniels hitting that high note during the second hymn that always gave Amara goosebumps. But today, Amara found herself checking the clock more than usual, her thoughts drifting to the afternoon visit ahead. After the service, several church members commented on how grown-up Amara looked. Mrs. Daniels pressed $1 into her hand for being such a good girl, unaware that Amara's savings box was nearly empty now. Amara thanked her politely and tucked the $1 into her small purse, the first deposit in what would be a long journey back to $87. They took the bus across town to the address Mr. Wilson had written down. As they got closer, the neighborhoods changed. The buildings grew larger, with neat front gardens and freshly painted doors. Amara pressed her face against the bus window, taking in the tree-lined streets that seemed so different from their own neighborhood. "This is our stop," Nana said, rising from her seat. "Remember your manners now." They walked 2 blocks from the bus stop, counting house numbers until they reached 1427 Maple Street. It was a modest house compared to some on the block, but to Amara it seemed grand. 2 stories of red brick with white trim and a small front porch where a rocking chair swayed gently in the breeze. "This is it," Amara whispered, suddenly shy. What if Mr. Wilson didn't want visitors? What if he'd only given her his address to be polite? Nana gave her a gentle push forward. "Go on now. Ring the bell." The doorbell chimed a soft melody inside the house. Moments later, the door opened to reveal Mr. Wilson, looking more robust than he had in the pharmacy. He wore a cardigan sweater over a button-up shirt, and his white hair was neatly combed. Recognition lit up his face when he saw Amara. "Well, look who's here," he said warmly. "My pharmacy angel." His gaze shifted to Nana, and he extended his hand. "You must be Amara's grandmother." "I'm Thomas Wilson." "Dorothy Johnson," Nana replied, shaking his hand. "Seems my granddaughter made quite an impression on you yesterday." "That she did," Mr. Wilson agreed. "Please, won't you both come in? I've just made some tea." The inside of the house was like something from the old movies Nana sometimes watched. Polished wooden floors, tall bookshelves lining the walls, and furniture that looked both comfortable and fancy. Photographs in silver frames covered one wall, showing younger versions of Mr. Wilson alongside people Amara didn't recognize. "I brought back your umbrella," Amara said, holding it out. "Thank you for letting me borrow it." Mr. Wilson accepted it with a smile. "Thank you for returning it, though I would have been happy for you to keep it, a small token compared to what you gave me." He led them into a sunny kitchen at the back of the house, where a tea tray waited on a round table by the window. Amara noticed 3 cups had been set out. "Were you expecting us?" Nana asked, noticing the same thing. Mr. Wilson's eyes crinkled at the corners. "Hoping, perhaps. When Amara mentioned church, I thought Sunday afternoon might bring visitors." He gestured for them to sit. "Please make yourselves comfortable." As they settled around the table, Mr. Wilson poured tea into delicate cups with tiny flowers painted around the edges. He offered sugar and milk, which Amara added generously to her cup while Nana took hers plain. "Mrs. Johnson," Mr. Wilson began, "your granddaughter did something extraordinary yesterday. I don't know if she told you the full story." "She did," Nana confirmed. "And while I'm proud of her kind heart, I want you to know we don't expect anything in return." "We're just glad you got your medicine." Mr. Wilson nodded thoughtfully. "I appreciate that, but I'd still like to tell you what her kindness meant." He turned to Amara. "Young lady, do you know what I did before I retired?" Amara shook her head, carefully sipping her sweet tea. "I was the principal at Westridge Academy for 32 years. Amara's eyes widened, and she nearly spilled her tea. Westridge Academy, the very school Nana had mentioned, the one with the special science program she'd dreamed of attending. Nana set down her cup with a gentle clink. "Westridge? That's quite a coincidence. We were just discussing that school recently." "Yes, Amara mentioned it yesterday during our walk," Mr. Wilson said. "That's partly why I wanted to meet with you today." He looked directly at Amara. "When you helped me at the pharmacy, you didn't know anything about me. You just saw someone in need. That kind of character is rare, especially in one so young." Amara felt her cheeks warm under his praise. "Anyone would have done the same," she murmured. "No," Mr. Wilson said firmly. "They wouldn't have. The other people in that pharmacy, adults with jobs and means, they looked away. But you, with your savings for something important to you, stepped forward." He reached for a folder that had been sitting on the counter and placed it on the table. "I've been thinking about how I might thank you properly. Not just for the medication, but for reminding an old man that there's still goodness in this world." He opened the folder to reveal papers with the Westridge Academy logo at the top. Westridge has a scholarship program for exceptional students, he explained. Academic achievement matters, of course, but so does character. Each year we select a few students who show extraordinary promise, not just in their grades but in who they are as people. Nana's hand found Amara's under the table and squeezed. Mr. Wilson, what exactly are you suggesting? I may be retired, but I still sit on the scholarship committee, he said. I'd like to recommend Amara for consideration. The program covers full tuition from 8th grade through high school graduation, plus additional resources like technology and summer enrichment programs. The kitchen fell silent. Amara felt dizzy, unable to process what she was hearing. A scholarship? To Westridge? And technology, did that mean a computer? That's very generous, Nana finally said, her voice unsteady. But surely there are requirements, applications, interviews. Mr. Wilson nodded. Yes, there's a process, but I can help guide you through it. Amara would still need to maintain strong grades and pass the entrance exam. But with a recommendation from a founding committee member, her application would receive special attention. He turned to Amara, who had been silent with shock. I looked up the pharmacy receipt this morning. The medicine you paid for? It keeps my heart beating properly. In a very real sense, young lady. You may have saved my life that day. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about what might have happened if I'd gone the weekend without it. Tears shimmered in his pale blue eyes. I've lived a long life, Amara. I've seen the best and worst of people. What you did ranks among the best, and if I can help you reach your potential because of it, that would give this old heart of mine great joy. Amara found her voice at last. But I only did what felt right. I didn't do it to get anything back. Which is precisely why you deserve this opportunity, Mr. Wilson said gently. The most worthy recipients of help are often those who don't think to ask for it themselves. Nana dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. Mr. Wilson, I don't know what to say. This could change her future. It's just a chance, he cautioned. Amara would still need to work hard to prove herself. But from what I can tell, hard work isn't something she shies away from. The conversation continued as they finished their tea. Mr. Wilson explained more about Westridge, its state-of-the-art science labs, its college preparation programs, the notable alumni who had gone on to prestigious universities. With each detail, Amara's mind spun with possibilities she had never dared to imagine. Before they left, Mr. Wilson gave Nana a packet of information about the scholarship program and the upcoming entrance exams. He wrote down his personal phone number and email address. Call me anytime with questions, he told Nana. The application deadline is in 3 weeks. I'd be happy to review Amara's materials before submission. At the door, he bent down slightly to meet Amara's eyes. Remember, young lady, kindness creates ripples that spread in ways we can't predict. Your simple act of compassion reminded me of my own purpose, to help young people with promise but limited means. So you see, you've helped me twice now. On the bus ride home, Amara held the Westridge brochure in her lap, tracing the school crest with her finger. The elegant stone buildings pictured on the cover seemed like something from a different world. Nana, she whispered, do you think I could really go there? Nana's arm tightened around her shoulders. Baby girl, after what I saw today, I think you could go anywhere. Sometimes the hardest doors to open are the ones we don't even know exist. As the bus carried them back to their apartment, Amara gazed out the window, seeing her city with new eyes. Yesterday, her biggest dream had been a second-hand laptop. Today, something larger had taken its place, a glimpse of a future she hadn't known to hope for. All because she'd followed her heart at the pharmacy counter. That night before bed, Amara took out her savings box. Only $11 remained inside. But as she closed the lid, she felt richer somehow than when it had held $87. The next 3 weeks passed in a whirlwind for Amara. Each day after school, she sat at the kitchen table surrounded by practice tests and study guides that Mr. Wilson had provided. The Westridge entrance exam covered math, science, reading comprehension, and writing, all subjects Amara enjoyed. But the level was more challenging than anything she'd faced at Lincoln Elementary. X plus 3 equals 15, Amara muttered to herself one evening, pencil tapping against her notebook. So X equals 12. She circled the answer and moved on to the next problem, aware of Nana watching from the kitchen doorway. You've been at those books for 2 hours straight, Nana said, placing a glass of water beside Amara's papers. Maybe time for a break? Amara shook her head, already focused on the next question. The exam is in 10 days, Nana. Mr. Wilson said I need to score at least in the 90th percentile to have a real chance. Nana sat down across from her, gently lowering the pencil from Amara's hand. Baby girl, look at me. When Amara reluctantly met her eyes, Nana continued, You are more than a test score. Whether you get into this fancy school or not, you're still my brilliant, kind-hearted granddaughter. Don't forget that. Amara smiled, some of the tension easing from her shoulders. I know, Nana, but this feels like a door opening that I didn't even know was there. I want to be ready if I get the chance to walk through it. The telephone rang, interrupting their conversation. Nana answered, her face brightening when she recognized the caller. Yes, she's right here, Mr. Wilson. Studying hard as always. She handed the phone to Amara with a wink. Hello, Amara said, suddenly shy. Good evening, young scholar, came Mr. Wilson's warm voice. How are the practice tests coming along? They're challenging, Amara admitted, especially the advanced math sections. Ah, that's to be expected. Listen, I had an idea. Would you and your grandmother be able to come by my house this Saturday? I've arranged for someone I think you should meet. That Saturday, Amara and Nana returned to Mr. Wilson's brick house on Maple Street. When they arrived, they found him in the company of a young woman with copper-colored hair, pulled back in a neat bun, round glasses perched on her nose. Amara, Mrs. Johnson. This is Patricia Alvarez, Mr. Wilson introduced them. She's a junior at Westridge and one of our top math students. She's kindly offered to tutor Amara for the entrance exam. Patricia smiled warmly. Mr. Wilson speaks very highly of you, Amara. And anyone who helps others the way you helped him deserves some help in return. For the next 2 hours, Amara and Patricia sat at Mr. Wilson's dining room table, working through problem after problem. Patricia had a gift for explaining complex concepts in simple terms, using real-world examples that made everything click in Amara's mind. Think of algebra like a balance scale, Patricia explained, drawing a simple diagram. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other to keep things equal. As they worked, Mr. Wilson and Nana chatted in the living room, their voices a comforting backdrop to the lesson. Occasionally, Amara would catch fragments of their conversation, stories from Nana's youth in Georgia, Mr. Wilson's early days as a teacher before becoming principal. By the time they finished, Amara's brain felt both tired and alive, like a muscle that had been properly exercised. Patricia packed up her books with a satisfied nod. You've got a natural talent for this, Amara, she said. With a little more practice, you'll be ready. Mr. Wilson walked them to the door when it was time to leave. Patricia will be back next Saturday for another session, and I've arranged for a science teacher from the school to help the following week. Nana shook her head in wonder. Mr. Wilson, we can't thank you enough. All this for a child you barely know? On the contrary, he replied, his eyes crinkling with warmth. I'm getting to know her quite well, and what I see reinforces my initial impression. Amara has the potential to go far with the right opportunities. On Monday at school, Amara's science teacher, Ms. Chen, kept her after class. Amara, is everything all right? You seemed distracted today. Hesitantly, Amara explained about the Westridge scholarship and the upcoming entrance exam. Ms. Chen's eyes widened with each detail. That's wonderful news, she exclaimed. Westridge is one of the best schools in the state, and this explains why you've been so focused on your studies lately. I'm nervous, Amara confessed. What if I'm not smart enough? Ms. Chen knelt to meet Amara's eyes. Listen to me. I've been teaching for 15 years, and I rarely see students with your natural curiosity and persistence. You don't just memorize facts, you ask why, you make connections. That's real intelligence, Amara. The teacher opened her desk drawer and pulled out a thick study guide. This is what I used to help my nephew prepare for the Westridge exam last year. Take it home. Use it along with your other materials. Amara hugged the book to her chest. Thank you, Ms. Chen. Just promise you'll come back and tell me all about Westridge when you get in, her teacher said with a confident smile that made when, not if, seem like the only possibility. The days flew by in a blur of study sessions, afternoons with Ms. Chen's guidebook, Saturdays with Patricia for math and Dr. Reynolds, the Westridge science teacher, for biology and physics. Mr. Wilson himself helped with the reading comprehension and writing sections, sharing strategies from his years evaluating student applications. The night before the exam, Amara could barely sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, equations and vocabulary words swimming through her mind. What if after all this preparation, all this help, she still wasn't good enough? The sound of her bedroom door creaking open interrupted her thoughts. Nana padded in, a cup of warm milk in hand. "Thought you might need this," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Exam jitters keeping you up?" Amara nodded, sitting up to accept the milk. "What if I fail, Nana? Everyone's done so much to help me." "Then you'll pick yourself up and try something else," Nana said simply. "That's what strong women do." She smoothed Amara's braids with a gentle hand. "But I don't think you're going to fail, and neither does Mr. Wilson or Ms. Chen or any of those tutors who've worked with you." "How can they be so sure?" Amara whispered. "Because they've seen what I've always known. You have a light inside you, baby girl. It's not just book smarts, though you have plenty of those. It's something deeper. A goodness that draws people to you, that makes them want to help you succeed." Nana took the empty cup from Amara's hands. "Now get some sleep. Your brilliant brain needs rest." The Westridge Academy entrance exam was held in a grand old building with high ceilings and tall windows that filled the testing room with natural light. Dozens of children Amara's age sat at individual desks, each looking as nervous as she felt. Some wore private school uniforms. Others, like Amara in her best blue dress, clearly came from public schools. Mr. Wilson had driven them there himself, waiting outside with Nana while Amara took the 3-hour test. As the proctor handed out the booklets, Amara took a deep breath and remembered what Patricia had taught her. Read each question carefully. Trust what you know. If you get stuck, mark it and move on. The first section was mathematics. Amara worked through problem after problem, her pencil moving steadily across the page. When she encountered a particularly challenging equation, she pictured Patricia's balance scale diagram and methodically worked through the steps. Science came next. Questions about ecosystems, simple machines, the scientific method. Amara smiled when she saw a question about heart medication that reminded her of Mr. Wilson. The reading comprehension section featured passages on historical figures and scientific discoveries, with questions that probed her understanding and analytical skills. Finally, the writing section asked her to compose an essay on the topic. Describe a moment when you made a difficult choice and what you learned from it. Amara's pencil flew across the page as she wrote about her decision at the pharmacy counter, the empty savings box, and the unexpected connections that had formed as a result. When the proctor called time, Amara set down her pencil with a mixture of relief and sadness. It was over. Now all she could do was wait. Outside, Nana and Mr. Wilson looked up expectantly as she emerged from the building. "How did it go?" Nana asked, searching her face. I think I did okay," Amara said, surprised to find she actually believed it. "There were some hard parts, but I remembered what everyone taught me." Mr. Wilson nodded approvingly. "That's all anyone can ask. Now how about some ice cream to celebrate completing this milestone?" Over the next 2 weeks, Amara tried to focus on school and normal life, but her thoughts kept returning to Westridge. The scholarship results would be announced at the end of the month, along with test scores and admission decisions. The call came on a Tuesday evening. Amara was setting the table for dinner when the phone rang. Nana answered, her expression shifting from polite greeting to wide-eyed surprise as she listened. "Yes, she's right here," Nana said, hand trembling slightly as she held out the receiver. "It's Mrs. Fletcher from Westridge Academy." Heart pounding, Amara took the phone. "Hello? Is this Amara Johnson?" asked a crisp, professional voice. "Yes, ma'am. This is Diane Fletcher, Director of Admissions at Westridge Academy. I'm calling about your scholarship application and entrance examination." Amara closed her eyes, bracing herself. "Yes? Ms. Johnson, it's my pleasure to inform you that you not only passed the entrance exam with flying colors, scoring in the 96th percentile, but the scholarship committee has unanimously approved your application for a full academic scholarship." The room seemed to spin. Amara gripped the edge of the counter to steady herself. "Are you there, Ms. Johnson?" Mrs. Fletcher asked. "Yes, ma'am," Amara managed. "I'm just surprised." "Well, you shouldn't be. Your test scores were exceptional, particularly in science, and your personal recommendation from Thomas Wilson carried significant weight. He rarely endorses scholarship candidates so enthusiastically." Nana was watching anxiously, unable to hear the other side of the conversation. Amara gave her a trembling smile and a thumbs up. Nana's hands flew to her mouth. "There will be an orientation for new scholarship recipients next month," Mrs. Fletcher continued. "You'll receive an information packet in the mail. Oh, and one more thing. The technology stipend included with your scholarship should cover a new laptop computer. Mr. Wilson mentioned that was something you needed for your studies." After thanking Mrs. Fletcher, Amara hung up the phone and turned to Nana, tears streaming down her face. "I got in," she whispered. "Full scholarship. And they're giving me a laptop." Nana crossed the kitchen in 3 steps and wrapped Amara in a fierce hug. "I knew it," she kept saying. "I knew it all along." That night they called Mr. Wilson with the news. Though he pretended surprise, Amara detected a note of satisfied expectation in his voice. He had believed in her from the start. As she lay in bed that night, Amara thought about the strange path that had led her here. If she hadn't gone to the pharmacy that rainy Saturday, if she hadn't offered her savings to a stranger in need, none of this would have happened. Sometimes, she realized, the best things in life come from moments when you give without expecting anything in return. Her empty savings box had somehow filled her life with possibilities she never could have imagined. The summer before Amara started at Westridge Academy passed in a blur of excitement and preparation. The information packet arrived as promised, filled with details about uniforms, textbooks, and orientation dates. Along with it came a credit voucher for the school-approved laptop, a sleek, new model that made her second-hand dreams seem humble by comparison. "It's so light," Amara marveled, lifting the computer from its box on her birthday in July. Mr. Wilson had insisted on purchasing it early so she could familiarize herself with it before classes began. "The latest model," he said proudly, watching from his usual spot in the armchair that had somehow become his whenever he visited their apartment. These visits had grown frequent over the summer. Sunday afternoons for tea, weekday evenings to discuss Amara's summer reading list, and special occasions like today. Nana emerged from the kitchen with a small homemade cake, 12 candles flickering in the dimmed light. "Make a wish, baby girl." Amara closed her eyes. What was left to wish for? The scholarship, the laptop, the chance at a better education. It all seemed like more than enough. But as she took a deep breath, a wish formed in her heart anyway. Not for herself this time, but for others who might need the same chance she'd been given. August brought orientation day at Westridge. Amara stood before the mirror in her new uniform, a crisp white blouse, navy blue skirt, and a blazer with the school crest emblazoned on the pocket. The girl looking back at her seemed different somehow, taller, more confident. "You look like you belong there already," Nana said from the doorway, her voice thick with emotion. Amara smoothed her skirt nervously. "What if the other kids can tell I don't come from money? What if they know I'm only there because of a scholarship?" Nana crossed the room and placed her hands on Amara's shoulders, meeting her eyes in the mirror. "Listen to me. That scholarship wasn't given to you. You earned it with your hard work and your beautiful heart. You deserve to be at that school every bit as much as any child whose parents can afford the tuition." Mr. Wilson drove them to orientation in his old but well-maintained Buick. As they approached the campus, Amara's stomach twisted with a mixture of excitement and fear. The grounds were even more impressive than the brochures had shown. Manicured lawns, stately brick buildings, and students who moved with an easy confidence she wasn't sure she could match. "There will be 5 other scholarship students in your grade," Mr. Wilson told her as they walked toward the main hall. "Remember, Westridge values diversity of experience and background. Your perspective is valuable here." The orientation day passed in a whirlwind of introductions, campus tours, and information sessions. Amara met her homeroom teacher, Dr. Hammond, who shared her love of science and showed special interest when Mr. Wilson mentioned Amara's ecosystem project. "Ideas. We have an advanced environmental science lab that would be perfect for that kind of research," Dr. Hammond told her. "Not many 8th graders show interest in ecosystem modeling. I'm impressed." By lunchtime, Amara had met 2 other scholarship students, Leon, whose parents had immigrated from Vietnam, and Darius, who lived with his uncle in the same part of town as Amara. Sitting together in the dining hall with its high ceilings and large windows, they shared their stories of how they'd come to Westridge. "My uncle works as a janitor at the hospital," Darius explained. One of the doctors there is an alumnus and helped me apply for the scholarship program. My English teacher last year nominated me, Leon added. I didn't think I had a chance, but here I am. Amara hesitated, then shared her own story of the pharmacy, the heart medication, and Mr. Wilson. The others listened with wide eyes. So the former principal is like your personal mentor now? Darius asked. That's amazing. I guess sometimes good things happen when you're not looking for them, Amara said, surprised by the wisdom in her own words. That evening, as Mr. Wilson drove them home, he seemed unusually quiet. When they pulled up to Amara and Nana's apartment building, he turned in his seat to face them. There's something I've been meaning to discuss with you both, he said. As you know, I live alone in that big house. My wife passed away 10 years ago and my daughter lives in California with her family. They've been asking me to consider moving closer to them. Amara felt a sudden pang of worry. Would Mr. Wilson leave just as she was starting at Westridge? Who would help her navigate this new world? But I've been reluctant to leave, he continued. My life, my memories, my community are all here. And now I have a new reason to stay. He looked directly at Amara. I made a promise to myself that I would see you through your education at Westridge, all the way through graduation. Nana reached across the seat and squeezed his hand. Thomas, that's a big commitment. 4 years is a long time. Not when you're my age, he chuckled. Time passes quickly, and I find that having a purpose keeps me young. He turned serious again. But I have a proposal that might make things easier for all of us. The proposal came as a surprise. Mr. Wilson owned a small rental property just 3 blocks from Westridge, a 2-bedroom apartment above a bookstore that was currently vacant. He offered to let Amara and Nana live there, rent-free during Amara's time at school. The commute from here would be nearly an hour each way, he pointed out. That's time Amara could use for studying. And the neighborhood is safe with good access to public transportation for you, Mrs. Johnson. We couldn't possibly accept, Nana began. Consider it part of the scholarship, Mr. Wilson insisted. An investment in Amara's education. And selfishly, having you nearby would mean I could continue our Sunday teas without the long drive. 2 weeks later, they moved into the apartment above Hillside Books. It was smaller than their old place, but freshly painted and filled with sunlight. The bookstore owner, Mrs. Abernathy, took an immediate liking to Amara and offered her a weekend job shelving books once she settled into her school routine. Every cent goes into your college fund, Nana declared when Amara brought home her first paycheck. Education is the door that opens all other doors. Amara's first month at Westridge tested her in ways she hadn't expected. The academics were challenging, pushing her to stretch beyond what she'd thought possible. There were nights when she sat at her desk until late, wrestling with algebra problems or Latin translations, wondering if she truly belonged. But there were triumphs too. Her ecosystem project in Dr. Hammond's science class earned the highest grade in her section. Her English teacher praised her writing style as refreshingly authentic. And slowly, she began to make friends beyond Leon and Darius, children from different backgrounds who shared her curiosity and drive. Mr. Wilson became a regular fixture in their lives. Sunday teas expanded to include dinner, with Nana teaching him her secret recipes and Mr. Wilson sharing stories from his 40 years in education. Sometimes they were joined by Patricia, who had become Amara's unofficial big sister and math tutor when the work grew challenging. As fall turned to winter, Amara found herself thriving in ways she couldn't have imagined that rainy day in the pharmacy. One evening in December, as she worked on her laptop at the kitchen table, she came across a news article about medical debt forcing people to choose between medication and basic necessities. A thought took root in her mind. That night she spoke to Nana and Mr. Wilson about starting a small foundation. Nothing fancy, just a community effort to help people who couldn't afford essential medications. We could begin with bake sales, maybe partner with Jackson's Pharmacy, she suggested. Even if we only help one person a month, that's something. Mr. Wilson's eyes shone with pride. A perfect circle, he said softly, from one act of kindness to another. By spring, the Heart-to-Heart Medication Fund had raised enough money to help 3 families cover prescription costs. The pharmacist who had witnessed Amara's original act of generosity became their biggest supporter, identifying clients in need and connecting them with the fund. On the last day of Amara's first year at Westridge, Awards were handed out in a formal ceremony. She sat between Nana and Mr. Wilson, nervously smoothing her skirt as names were called for various achievements. The Westridge Community Impact Award, the headmaster announced, is given to a student who demonstrates exceptional commitment to improving the lives of others. This year's recipient has maintained excellent academic standing, while founding an organization that has already made a significant difference in our community. The award goes to Amara Johnson. The applause seemed to come from far away as Amara made her way to the stage. Accepting the small glass trophy, she caught sight of Nana and Mr. Wilson in the audience, Nana wiping tears, Mr. Wilson beaming with unmistakable pride. That evening, as they celebrated with a special dinner at Mr. Wilson's house, Amara excused herself briefly to stand on his front porch. The summer air was warm, filled with the scent of blooming flowers from his garden. Looking up at the stars, she thought about the strange path that had brought her here, how one moment at a pharmacy counter had altered the course of her life. She heard the door open behind her and turned to see Mr. Wilson, leaning slightly on his cane. "Penny, for your thoughts?" he asked. "I was just thinking about how different everything is now," she said. "1 year ago I was counting pennies for a used laptop. Now I'm at Westridge, we have a new home, and there's this whole future I never even dreamed of." Mr. Wilson nodded thoughtfully. The philosopher Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Your kindness created the opportunity, Amara, but it was your hard work, your intelligence, and your beautiful spirit that have made the most of it." He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You know, when I retired, I thought my days of changing lives through education were over. You proved me wrong. You've changed my life as much as I may have helped change yours." From inside came the sound of Nana calling them for dessert. As they turned to go back in, Amara realized that her impulse to help a stranger had given her something money could never buy. Not just opportunities, but connections, purpose, and the knowledge that a single act of compassion could ripple outward in ways no one could predict. The empty savings box that once held her dreams of a second-hand laptop now sat on her desk, filled with thank you notes from people the Heart to Heart Fund had helped. Each note was a reminder that sometimes the greatest wealth comes from what we give away, not what we keep.